The biggest threat to a country is if you cut off their water. And one of the reasons why Pakistan has adhered to the Indus Water Treaty, that's the only treaty they've abided by with us, is because they have a favorable deal on the treaty. They get more water than they should according to the treaty, even according to the treaty, and we need to re-evaluate the treaty. Remember how many days the Russians, the Soviets, fought against Hitler in St. Petersburg? A year and a half, I think. Bread and water. That's all they had. And Hitler had to retreat. Now, that is the Russian strength, the belief in themselves. That is why Putin is continuing till today, because he has that strength. Balakot, counter-attack that we did after Pulwama, was a message that if you do this, we will do this to you and we'll do it again. It has made a difference. The tune has been different since then. Udi pehle, phir uske baad we did this.
Welcome to another special episode of R&AW Presents The R&AW Show. We have Vikram Sood with us on today's episode. He's the former R&AW chief, the research and analysis wing. You see spy movies with all the top Hindi film stars. They're all loosely based upon R&AW. The actual functioning of R&AW, the actual world of R&AW is extremely different than the world shown in films. But I promise you, it's much cooler if you take a deep dive into their world along with me on today's podcast. Over the course of his career, he achieved it in style. And today, Vikram Sood is going to share whatever he's allowed to share on the Indian internet. Remember, guys, we've done a lot of military episodes. This is our first English R&AW special. We've done one in Hindi with GBS Sidhu, but this is hopefully the first of many more R&AW special episodes. For more episodes like this, make sure you follow us on Spotify. We're a Spotify exclusive. Every episode is available on Spotify 48 hours before it's available anywhere else in the world. This particular super stylish look has been styled by R&AW. So if you wish to look like this, make sure you begin shopping on the R&AW app straight away. Lots of heavy-duty questions and even more heavy-duty answers coming up on this one. This is an R&AW special. It's all about spies. It's all about geopolitics. It's all about the future of our nation's security as well. Please try watching it till the end. It's an epic episode. Enjoy another episode of R&AW Presents The R&AW Show. An epic conversation awaits. Vikram Sood, sir, how are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me here.
Okay. That's all you want to say?
That's all I want to say for the time being.
You speak very less on your interviews. It's part of your training.
It's become a habit now because you have to be short and crisp when you're talking to important people. They can't be very voluble. Get to the point.
Okay.
And then get on with it. So people do tell me that zyada bolo bhai. I'll try that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've reached a point in my own journey with fame where when I go to parties, people celebrate me for just being there. Saying that, the YouTubers here. Yeah. Do you ever get celebrated for being the former R&AW chief?
Occasionally, yes, it gets there. And when I do a podcast like this or when I do an interview, then I momentarily remember. Okay. And then people move on to other things. That's fair enough life.
Do uncles and aunties come and probe you about your R&AW life?
Yeah. They want to probe. They want to know. They attribute a lot of things to me which never happened or never would have happened. But they say, nahi, isko sab pata hai, nahi batayega.
Okay. Let's begin with the story of R&AW. There's too many kids watching this show, college students, teenagers, but I'd also say their parents are watching the show. And I believe that the parents believe that they know what R&AW is, what RAW is, but I don't know if what they believe is the truth. So I think you're the only person I've met till date in my own podcasting journey who has the ability to explain what R&AW is in its truest form.
Okay.
So I'll let you take it forward.
Okay. I'll start at the beginning.
All right.
I'll start at the beginning of, let's say, the what was our intelligence apparatus at independence and how R&AW evolved over a period of time. And we took over from the British. All the systems that they had, we took over. And to begin with, we had the Intelligence Bureau, which was responsible for external and internal intelligence.
This is where I probe and ask you what the meaning of intelligence is.
Intelligence is the gathering information about the adversary, his plans, his intentions, his abilities, and his likely move against you, against India, to our detriment. So it is advanced knowledge, really, or sometimes even the background knowledge, and then assessments of what might he do. One is collecting hard intelligence, factual intelligence. That they've made this equipment, they've made this bomb, or they've made this new weapon. They've raised a new infantry division. Now, what does that mean to us? Then some experts will get together and decide that the raising of a division here means that they are expanding in a particular direction, that they want to raise a mountain division, for instance. They're raising a mountain division. Obviously, they have intentions to use it in the heights. So, then you or on political issues, and who's going to win the next election in a particular country? What is our assessment? Who are the candidates? And what are they like? What is their attitude towards India? All that has to be fed into the system for the governments of the day to be forearmed, fore-equipped with this. In the beginning, all this work was done by the Intelligence Bureau. Then remember, in 1962, we had the Chinese invasion, and we took a knocking there. Then we had 1965, the Pakistani invasion. They had sent in so-called freedom fighters and into Kashmir, and we pushed them back. And then the famous move we made into cross the international boundary at Lahore and move the troops in, which the Pakistanis did not expect. But we had to do it because otherwise they were going to cut off Kashmir from us. So this was the move, and that changed the whole direction of the war in 65. But we were caught unawares, really.
Okay.
It was a surprise.
Okay.
And we succeeded in doing what we needed to do. I think at that stage, the government started to think that given the situation that we are in, with an enemy on the one front and another enemy on the other front, one organization will not be able to handle it with full devotion, because you go to do internal work too. So it was decided that there should be a new organization dealing only with external threats, not internal threats. Therefore, they decided to form the Research and Analysis Wing. The Research and Analysis Wing is R&AW, but normally people call it RAW. But we prefer to call ourselves R&AW. Anyhow, that's a matter of detail. So the R&AW was created in 1968. September 21, 1968 was the day we got the orders that this is now come into existence. And Mr. R&AW was the head of the organization. He remained in charge of the organization for 9 years. And he saw it through its raising and abilities. And the first major success R&AW had was the 1971 war with Pakistan over Bangladesh, and Pakistan was split. We got Bangladesh. R&AW helped the liberation fighters of Bangladesh, then East Pakistan, in their overthrow of the Pakistani regime in Dhaka. So that was the first major success of R&AW, not just in terms of intelligence, but intelligence operations, i.e., helping the Mukti Bahini train them, equip them, send them in to fight the Pakistani irregular forces. So that was what we did in the first few years of the existence.
You spoke about hard intelligence, which is data about equipment or actual moves that the enemy is making. I'm assuming there is something called soft intelligence as well.
Well, hard intelligence is either based on documents,
Proof.
or it's based on audios or imagery, and all the modern gadgets that you have now. Photographs, imagery, audio recording, documented evidence, a letter from A to B. The other is that your source knows everything, but is not giving you documents or proof for that. So that you have to now rely on him, on his information.
By source, you mean a spy on the other side of the
On
border?
somebody you've raised, somebody you've
Okay.
cultivated, he's paid or otherwise. He's operating behind, let's say, enemy lines. And he gives you information. He sends it to you by any means, by code, by cipher, by letter, routed through another country, because you don't let him do it direct exchange of information from A to B. Those days, in my days when I joined in 1972, we didn't have any of these. There was no such thing as a mobile phone. You must, like kids these days have all these equipments. We didn't have any of this. We didn't even have fax. Even teleprinters came later, or maybe around that time. So we were relying either on the information collected by the source and brought in or routed through somewhere else. Time was a constraint. I mean, it could take 10 days for him to deliver that information, which time it might conceivably be old.
Mm.
He had the information, but he couldn't reach it to you, and therefore it is redundant.
Okay.
So those are the pitfalls of that time. I remember there's something called topographical intelligence. That means you collecting intelligence about the topography of the neighboring country.
You're mapping it out.
Mapping it out. You didn't have the facility to do it by satellite imagery. You had to do it on the ground.
Okay.
So you had to send a guy in with equipment, so he'd go mile by mile, bridge by bridge, or culvert by culvert to collect topography. Then you put it together, piece it together. It could take maybe a month or two to get that thing right. But nowadays it's all so different, and you got Google Map and it tells you everything.
Not everything, right?
Well, he tells you a lot that he wants you to know.
Okay. So what I've gathered from your answer is that R&AW collects information about what's happening on the other side of the border, especially about activities that could be dangerous to India's security.
Yeah.
Now, y'all are collecting information through multiple means, one of which is spies. I'm sure there are countless other means which you're probably not even able to talk about on a public platform. Also, once you've collected that information, there is an analysis part of R&AW that tries predicting the near future or the next moves of the enemy. And y'all feed that intel to what I am assuming is the Indian military and the PMO and maybe ISRO. I don't know.
Well, I tell you two things here.
Okay.
The meaning of security today is much wider. Okay? It's not just military anymore. It's not just the political aspects of what's happening there. They're important. They still remain important. But you have demography, for instance, migrations. If there's a famine in the other country, and those people start to come into your country, that could be a potential security threat because they don't know who's coming in. Okay? You have instances of even water shortage. The biggest threat to a country is if you cut off their water. And one of the reasons why Pakistan has adhered to the Indus Water Treaty all these years, that's the only treaty they've abided by with us, is because they have a favorable deal on the treaty. They get more water than they should according to the treaty, even according to the treaty, and we need to re-evaluate the treaty.
Why is it more favorable towards Pakistan?
Because it was generosity. It said that these rivers will flow into Pakistan, and these rivers, and the southern rivers, we would make use of, but we're not able to make full use of the rivers, waters, and they just flows in.
Okay.
So we want to, that 70-30 equation has to change.
But if we balance it out and make it 50-50, what happens?
Then they're not going to do it so easily. They say that change of the treaty is a act of war.
Okay.
So we have to negotiate.
Okay.
So I suppose the government would at some stage go into it seriously. They're talking about it.
But what's the point? What will happen if we change it?
No, the change is you are violating a treaty that you signed. So automatically you lose sympathy with a lot of people.
Okay.
It's not the done thing. I mean, powerful countries do it all the time. The United States abrogates treaties, it walks off treaties when it feels like, but they can afford to do it.
Okay.
We would prefer a negotiated settlement. We would certainly want it. We hope that Pakistan sees reason at the end of the day, because right now they're in an awful mess. So maybe now is the time to work that treaty out. But I'm getting ahead of my time. I'm getting...
no, that's all right.
So we were talking of something else. Actually, I was going to say that the intelligence that intelligence agencies collect and put it into use is about 10% of the total information that is available. Most of the information comes from open sources.
Which means what? Which is available to everybody.
Everybody knows about it. It is the art of putting that intelligence, that information together with this additional information that you've got, that gives you the quantum jump.
Okay.
And tells you what might happen.
Is there any chance you'd mention some of the open sources? You mean like Google Maps or something?
Yeah, even Google Maps.
Wow. Okay. So Google Maps.
Or social media.
Really?
Yeah.
If someone...
A lot of intelligence agencies watch social media and write in it too.
Contribute
to it.
Okay.
It's a weapon of collection and a weapon of influence.
You can psychologically impact.
Yeah, you can twist the story around, and you can make... WhatsApp can do it.
Okay.
Look at the kind of stories that you can get on WhatsApp these days. You don't know which one is true, which one isn't.
Is India a victim of Chinese and Pakistani intelligence agencies twisting narratives on social media?
I expect they are doing it. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're not doing this. This is the game.
Little rookie question for you, okay? And I'm asking this on behalf of mainstream media.
Yeah.
How do you feel when you see movies like Pathan or Tiger or any Indian...
I think we haven't got the art of doing those movies.
You think they can be done better?
Oh, yes. I mean, they can be realistic.
Okay.
They're not realistic what you see.
What is not realistic about them?
Huh?
What is not realistic?
You're trying to make a James Bond movie, which is also not realistic.
Okay.
Huh? Then you have this story of the ISI girl and the R&AW man living happily ever after. I mean, take a break.
Has that ever happened? Not really, right?
No, the whole atmospherics of the whole thing. I haven't seen Pathan and I won't see it because I don't think it is
An accurate depiction.
It's not an accurate depiction. I'm not going to waste my time. I did see Ek the Tiger and I laughed and I enjoyed that because it was so quaint. Not because it was depicting anything. Like you had that other movie of
War? Hrithik and
no,
Tiger.
this was this fellow Salman Khan going under a tunnel into Pakistan to deliver a girl who had got left
Bajrangi
behind.
Bhaijan.
Huh? Whatever. I mean, ठीक है यार.
Okay.
थोड़ा exaggerate.
Okay.
You have to have entertainment which is fun and realistic. You should see that movie, The Bridge of Spies. That is a real movie.
Okay.
That is how real spy movies are made.
What does a real spy movie constitute?
It means dealing with actual facts, no blonde around, no nothing around. It's
Okay.
living a lonely life. You're living on by yourself, living your cover story. Abel Goldfuss was actually an artist, so he was doing paintings. He used to make money out of it, but he was doing this other job also. So running his espionage ring. And they show all that, how documents are exchanged, how information is exchanged. You have things called dead letter boxes. A dead letter box in espionage is a place. It could be a book, let's say, or that statue. I put my UBS under it and leave it. And leave a sign outside on some tree or a wall that I've fed the dead letter box.
Okay.
So the other chap comes and picks it up and takes it away. The two never meet.
All right. Is the human motivation to become an intelligence officer based on the fact that you want to serve your country? Is that the core motivation? For example, with the military, that's a core motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone joins the military in order to serve their country.
Mm.
It's the same thing here?
Not quite, but there is a section of the people who join it for the need, for the desire to work in this particular kind of work. There are others probably just come to look at it and see how it goes and whether it suits them or not. And then many of them, or not many, quite a few of them go back. They're not interested.
Are you comfortable talking about how you got into the system, like how you were recruited?
Well, I was recruited in 1970. My recruitment started, I should imagine, sometime end of 71.
You mean you were being researched upon?
I suppose so, because then I was asked to go and meet an officer in the cabinet secretariat, and he wants to talk to you. So I did that, and then he asked me, would you be willing to, because we had heard about this, we had heard that there is going to be a new organization. So I went and had a little chat with him. That's it. And then, because earlier on it was decided by the government of Mrs. Gandhi and with Mr. Kao as the head, that it should not be a police organization. It should have talent from everywhere else.
All right.
So I am one of the everywhere else's.
Did you have any bros?
Well, there have been. Every intelligence agency has a bro.
I meant on a very human level. Did you have a guy who worked with you at R&AW where you were like, he's a brother? Or you're taught not to think like that about anyone? You can't develop a real social connection.
No, it's not so restrictive.
Okay.
And but these days, in India, it is very difficult to hide where you are working.
Okay.
I probably not in Bombay so much, but in Delhi, where I spend my life, where it's a bureaucratic city. So everybody, the who's who is the IAS, IFS, IPS, and these kinds of people, the politician. It's a power city. So there you meet somebody, almost the second or third question is, so where are you working? So if you say you're working in Ministry of Home Affairs, okay, IAS, they want to fix you. You say, yeah, IAS. I'm giving an imaginary answer.
Sure.
Acha. Which cadre? They keep at it. They won't stop. So for us also, the cabinet secretariat. Where do you sit?
Okay. What did you say back in the day?
Back in the day, we said cabinet secretariat, and nobody knew much about it. Cabinet secretariat, we passed on, and there was also that kind of aura of fear. If you said R&W, they all hushed up. Acha, okay. Oh,
okay. Did your family?
Even now they do it. Even now it happens. When you say,
I'm not feeling comfortable about this conversation, honestly.
No?
Now I am. Wasn't in the morning. Did your family know what you did?
My wife knew.
Okay.
My children didn't know for a long time.
So what did they think the dad does?
No, they weren't bothered. I mean, they're just kids.
Okay. All right.
Kids don't, after 13, 14, those days were not so inquisitive. And then they suddenly started noticing that, well, he might be doing something different. And then gradually it gets to know. So it took a while for them to know.
All right. How did you have that conversation with them? How did they get to know?
Dad, what is it exactly that you do?
Really?
That's my daughter.
Probably by the time they were teenagers and they figured
Yeah, then they figured out.
Okay.
So I let it be known gently. But then there was no reaction.
How do you let it be known gently? I work with the government.
No, all that they knew.
Okay.
They knew that I was with the government, that I would getting posted around. I have odd hours of work, etc. So then they asked me, and I said, well, I work with an intelligence organization, but keep it to yourself. That's it. No hangama, no noise, no nothing.
Okay. All right. Is this line of questioning making you uncomfortable?
Not yet.
What would make you uncomfortable?
Well, I don't know. That depends on what questions you ask.
If I ask you something where the answer could pose a threat to India's security, that's what would make you uncomfortable.
I would not name names.
Oh, yeah.
I would not name names. I would not name locations. And I would not do anything that might embarrass the government today.
And now, in order to read you even deeper, sir, I will enter your heart.
Yeah.
So, this is our segment called Ajio Presents Keep It Casual, where we'll kind of have a little more relaxed format of questioning. This is to get to know you better so that I can navigate the conversation better post this segment. So, are you ready, sir? Okay, it's Ajio Presents Keep It Casual. So, you can't think too long about your answers, but I will ask you some tangential questions if you've given me an interesting answer, sir. Are you ready? Okay. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the following words? India.
My country.
Spy.
Me.
Military.
Bravery.
Politics.
TVS.
Cricket.
I love it.
Intelligence.
It's a good thing to have.
R&AW.
The best.
Okay. At the peak of your career, did you get any days off? And if yes, what did you choose to do? And what did you choose to wear on such a day?
Normal trousers and t-shirt or whatever.
Like if you have nothing to do at home, what are you wearing?
Still the same.
Okay. What was the best day of your life?
Best day of my life?
Yes.
The best day?
Yes.
23rd of January.
Why?
That's the day I got married.
Oh, okay. Romantic? Romantic at heart?
Yeah.
Your wife had a role to play in your career?
She was a rock behind me.
Okay. Because it's an extremely lonely career? Okay.
Yep.
I want to ask you so much more about that, but it doesn't make for good content when you're talking to a spy sometimes.
No.
People want to know, about the guns.
I want to know harsh thing. Yeah. Where's the knife and where's the gun?
But I have so many of my own personal questions related to marriage and all that, which we will speak about maybe after the shoot. Okay. If someone made you the PM of the country, what are 3 things you'd like to change up?
I would like to I would like to do three things, assuming they haven't been done. I would like to educate children in skills, not just graduates and postgraduates, skills, different skills. I would like to give 50% of your population greater opportunities, the women. And I would look after the olders.
Okay. Why the third one?
The older ones, because once they are at that age, they need help and protection more than the young. The young can manage on their own.
Based on the true nature of espionage, which Indian actor's style would be best suited to portray the character of a spy?
I saw three actors three or four actors who were very good at this kind of a thing, who could fit into these kinds of roles. Not giving any order of preference, but I like Nawazuddin Siddiqui. I used to like Imran Khan. Irfan Khan, sorry. And he was a consummate actor. Anupam Kher and these two actors, the one who played Family Man,
Manoj
Bajpayee, he's very good.
Okay.
They could fit into the role. And Mishra, Pankaj Mishra.
Pankaj Tripathi?
Was it the one who did Mishra nahi ho? Tripathi hai? Stash?
Yeah, I think it's Pankaj Tripathi.
Okay, maybe it's Pankaj Tripathi.
Which Indian or international movie has come closest to portraying the truth about espionage? You named one, I think.
The Perfect Spy.
Okay.
No, a Bridge of Spies, and then there was a very nice movie, TV serial actually, BBC ka, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
All right.
It's a Cold War story about it's actually based on this Cambridge 5. The Cambridge 5, there was Kim Philby and others who were spying who were actually with the MI6, but he was actually a KGB agent.
Okay.
The real mole. And he would have been chief maybe one day had he not been caught out. So on that, Jean Le Carré made a novel, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. It's beautifully done. The book is marvelous, and the acting and the movies. Alec Guinness was in it, I think.
All right.
And if you can get hold of the serial, you should watch it.
Okay.
And watch this Bridge of Spies.
Cool. My biggest hope from the Indian internet is Dash.
Indian intellect or internet?
Internet.
We'll get our own.
Ooh. Okay. That's a segment for the podcast after this particular segment. Okay. They say that shoes say a lot about a person. Keeping that in mind, what's your all-time favorite pair of shoes?
All-time favorite pair of shoes is my light tan brown shoes that I didn't wear this time, but that's my favorite. That's most comfortable. It's very smart.
Okay.
And matches most of my trousers, so I'm happy with that.
Okay. Practicality with a little bit of style.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah. I actually think it's the end of the round.
Pass ho gaya?
Yes, sir. Where do we even begin the next segment, sir? Okay, let's start with what have you written about in your books?
Okay.
What have you written about in your books?
My first book was about espionage.
Okay.
As a theme, not about R&AW, about how the whole thing works, how international espionage, with anecdotes in it.
What does the word espionage mean? You'll have to explain that as well.
Espionage is spying.
Okay.
The art of spying or the business of spying. Espionage and counter-espionage, which means that you launched a spy attack on me, I turn it around and do the same thing to you.
Spy versus spy.
Maybe the same guy is doing it.
What?
Same guy.
Oh, double agent.
So that is espionage and counter espionage.
For example, if you figure that someone in your team is actually a mole, you'll feed the mole wrong information so that he goes
Yeah.
and harms his own organization. Okay.
That is if I can find the mole.
Okay.
Uh,
I mean, how comfortable are you about speaking about identifying moles? Like, I'm 100% sure you've encountered at least a.
we can speak about the theory of it.
But sir, we want the. No. Go on. Why
No,
don't you give us?
it's like Aldrich Ames, the famous CIA man who was spying for the KGB for X number of years, made a lot of money. And he got caught out because he was just spending too much money. And they figured once you get your sights on a man, then you start watching him, watching what he does. Then you feed him information, see what he does. So then you close the trap on him and pick him out. But the most important thing is, how do you spot a mole? कोई लिखा तो है नहीं कि I'm a mole, catch me. So it could be anyone in the system who could be a mole. So it takes that much good luck, shall I say, or the man acts out of character, is too inquisitive about something which is not his business to know. So then you start homing in on him and pick him up. Or you have a straight betrayal.
As in?
Somebody comes and tells you from the other side, that guy is our man.
So someone from that side has betrayed their
He's
agents.
betraying that chap for his own reason, maybe, whatever.
What could be his own reason?
It could be revenge.
Revenge
against his own system. I'll break your systems.
Okay.
Usko padwa do.
Okay.
Cool. It's a game, real life games.
Could the guy at the top also be a double agent?
Theoretically, yes.
Okay.
Theoretically, yes. No one is above sin.
In the round we just had with all those questions, you mentioned something interesting about the internet.
Yeah.
You want to expand that thought a little bit? You said that we need an Indian internet.
Internet is a Western deign to us. It's a gift, shall we say. It's not a gift to us, it's a gift to themselves.
Okay.
Because through internet, they've got a lot of data, information about everything, everywhere. Now, Google has everything on them, on us, literally speaking. Any other agency knows. Knowledge is now coming from them to us. Our own knowledge is coming back to us from them. You put a name and it all comes down. It's all stored up there. We don't have anything. And I fear that things like, I don't know whether I am technically right or wrong about this. This chat GPT, which is going to become, over a period of time, when this chap is going to do everything for you, then I think the human mind is going to stop thinking. He will leave it to that machine. The machine will talk to that other machine. And then you have artificial intelligence, which, like some people say, will one day in the future exceed human intelligence. If you look at the Chinese belief that the best war is the war which you fight without having to kill, or without having to die. Just suborn the race, suborn the people.
Yeah. Okay. I like that you brought up China, sir, because I want to take this into a geopolitical place, this podcast. I've had a bunch of people on the show. I believe that everyone who tilts towards the right wing, basically, for lack of a better word, believes that China is on the brink of some sort of a civil war. I'm sure you follow geopolitics very closely as well. Do you have an opinion?
I would, this kind of data, reports, its analyses comes out from the West.
Okay.
And the West always, if you look over a time, they believe that first the Soviet Union was a big threat. And then after that, it became Russia is useless. It's about to collapse. Now they're still saying that. Similarly for China, they're saying that there's a lot of trouble in China. There's trouble in Xinjiang. There's trouble in Tibet. The economy is going down, etc., etc. Maybe it is going down, and maybe Xi Jinping doesn't. If he would be really worried if in a totalitarian society you have riots or you have food riots or you have this. I don't think they've reached that stage, but supposing, for argument's sake, this is how it happens, then the totalitarian state is more worried about this happening than we would here. Because we are used to disorder of a kind, we're used to trouble, we're used to strikes here and there, not in that state. So their reactions would be much stronger, much more cruel, if I may use the word.
Yeah. So
quelling this trouble. So that kind of a thing can be a start point. But I don't think China is going to. Big countries just don't die away.
Okay.
They don't die away. China is a civilization also. They may have got communism now, but one thing about the Chinese is that they don't think autocracy is a bad thing. They've had rulers who've been autocrats all along. The Hans and everybody
You'll
else.
have to explain what an autocrat is.
Autocrat is a person with power and authority and money. And he has his own way of dealing with things. Yes or no kind of situation.
The reason I have to make you do these things is this is the charm of the show. You need to be able to speak to 12-year-olds about these things.
All right. Okay.
Can you go on?
So they're used to this harsh rules, which the West doesn't understand. That their resilience, or the Russian resilience, is much more than they think it is.
Okay.
Remember how many days the Soviets fought against Hitler in St. Petersburg? A year and a half, I think. Bread and water. That's all they had. And Hitler had to retreat. Now, that is the Russian strength. The belief in themselves. We will not give in. That is why Putin is continuing till today. Because he has that strength. The Chinese also have that strength. So let's not
discount them.
So
you're saying these narratives come out of the West. It's probably some sort of propaganda, but China didn't come so far just by being lucky.
Yeah.
There's a lot of thought, a lot of mental strength, and a lot of strategy that's gone in.
And a lot of aid from the West, funnily enough.
Yeah.
They made them rich.
Okay.
For their own reasons.
Okay. What were other books about?
The first one was about, I called it The Unending Game. It was about intelligence in the world. The next book was The Ultimate Goal. It was about how narratives are built by states.
Okay.
And how they are countered. And what is it that goes into the making of those narratives. I'm trying to tell my own people that you may have all the power in the world, but unless you have a good story to tell about yourselves, it won't work.
Could you give an example to explain this thought more? This narratives are built.
Yeah, one narrative is a long-term narrative of superiority, let's say.
Sure. Like how we were always portrayed as a land of snake charmers.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And they are the powerful, the rich, they have values, democratic values, values of fair play, sporting people, yeah, generous people, and so on and so forth.
Sure.
We are the poor, mean fellows. So they made us poor, and then they laughed at us for being poor. And that is the long term, that you had no Sanskrit, you had nothing. You were actually Aryans who came down and gave you all this. You were nothing without us. And that story sold for a long time in India. The other is a short time thing for a particular purpose. Remember how the story about Saddam Hussein having WMDs and Osama bin Laden, Al Qaeda was operating there. Therefore, we must go into that country and cure it and rid it of that.
The war on terror.
The war on terror to alag chala gaya. This became a war against Saddam Hussein for trying to make a nuclear bomb. Well, he wasn't. They knew it, but they manufactured intelligence. Then they manufactured a story. Then they spread it all over, and then they attacked. That is the narrative they built, say, up to March 18, 2003. I think that's the year they attacked.
Before I let you move forward, why was this narrative built? What was the underlying intention?
The underlying intention was that Saddam Hussein was sitting on a lot of oil.
Okay.
And he had been under sanctions that he could sell oil for dollars up to a particular limit. Because he had done Kuwait and they had put him under sanctions. He did a clever thing, or tried to do a clever thing. He started to sell oil for euros. And he made a lot of money. The Americans realized that if this happens, then their hold on the oil will go away. So they had to find a narrative to get in there to stop this from happening. वो कर लिया. The rest is history. Then they found that instead of Saddam Hussein, what they've got now is a stronger Iranian presence. The Shias had taken over because there's a substantial percentage of Iraqis who are Shias. In fact, majority are Shias. So they got nervous on that. Then they had to stop that. Then they went into Syria. And so it became a huge mess. And then the Russians moved into Syria. So that was a narrative which went wrong.
So basically, the goal is money in one form or the other.
Yeah.
If America can get richer by invading a country, they will do it.
Yeah.
They will tell their media portals and their general population that, listen, we're going in there because we're the superheroes. We're going in to save this country from its evil dictator.
Yes.
Now that media narrative, because it's being released to the American audiences, it also finds its way to the rest of the world because the rest of world media usually copies American media.
True.
So then the whole world starts believing that America is Batman or Superman, and they're going up and fighting against the Joker in these multiple.
The evil.
But it may not truly be the case. Even if there's a smaller version of this which is true, it's not the complete truth that you're seeing in mainstream media. And you're the former R&AW chief who's saying this.
Yeah.
Do you think general Indian audiences should stop watching the news?
Well, I have.
Okay. So how should they get the information, sir? Maybe
Podcasting.
All right. No, but I'll let you continue this. So what about Gaddafi? What about,
They
Egypt?
were all part of the same system. Gaddafi gave up the nuclear option. Gaddafi was sitting on a lot of oil. And Gaddafi wanted to make himself the leader of the Arab Muslim world in Africa. That was a no-no. It can't be done. So he had to be got rid of.
Okay.
Which they did.
Okay. There's a show on Netflix called How to Be a Dictator. I think it's called How to Be a Dictator. right? It's one of the most beautifully edited and written shows. And when I'd watched it, I was blown away by the quality of work.
Uh-huh.
As a content creator, as a writer, as a media professional, I loved that show. Showed it to my mom, showed it to some of my guests on the show, Abhijit Chawda included. And their first reaction was, listen, I think this is a lot of propaganda on this show where they are portraying these same dictators that you and me are speaking about in a much more evil light than they actually are. Uh, that's also a part, very likely a part of the same long-term narrative that you're speaking of.
Yeah.
To give you a very modern day example, when you follow someone on Instagram, someone of the opposite sex, and that person is posting very beautiful photos of themselves constantly, you begin to get slightly more attracted to them. It's just a matter of
Happens.
that same gorgeous face being thrown at you again and again. It's the same reason someone becomes more desirable, in the general public's eye. So if you're fed a certain narrative constantly, that becomes your truth.
Yeah, it becomes.
Okay. So all these dictators that we heard of over the last 20 years or so, there was an element of America going into those countries in order to make some money.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now what do we do with this information that we have? Just know it.
Yeah. What is the idea is that if a large number of us can understand that this is the game, but if the large number of us say, "Ki farak panda, let's carry on with this game, we'll also make some money," then you're not going to succeed.
Okay.
So the conditioning of my mind is not enough. Your mind has to be conditioned to accept what is being done to me.
I didn't understand this.
You see, they are saying that Saddam Hussein is an evil dictator. He has to be crushed. But if I keep saying, no, you're wrong, he's not so bad, then it's only half the battle won. So my mind has to be conditioned to believe that, yeah, he is really, really evil. So I get different stories planted on me. My mind gets conditioned. I accept that this is so. I join the game. Because then there is some temptation for me to make some money out of it too. Join the race.
Okay.
This is what America is finding difficult these days. Ukraine has been, people around the world have been fairly neutral about it, except for the Western lobbies.
As in no one knows who the hero or the villain is.
Yeah, and he's my hero is your villain is my hero, that kind of thing is going on. And then now there is a rush on the dollar. Because of these sanctions, people have started trading differently. Rupee for oil. And this is growing. They're now talking about a BRICS currency. And today I read that the US Treasury, Secretary Treasury is saying that dollar is under pressure. What happens then? So this is a game of a superpower which has lost some of its superpower abilities.
Yeah.
And it is finding it difficult to get out of it. Finding it difficult how to, if you keep saying that Ukraine must win, how will Ukraine win without soldiers, without ammunition, without arms? You can give it all that, but that's not enough.
Okay. What is the future of America in the 2030s, according to you? Would you go as far as predicting that?
America is still a very strong country. Let's not underestimate its power. It has had these kinds of setbacks in the past, but it's a very, very strong country, and it has a lot of good things happening for it.
Okay.
And the technology that you get out of it, the education system that you get out of it, all these are values that are important for the world. And they are a strong nation. But I think they've gotten into a wrong track now. They'll have to reevaluate and learn to live with others.
Mm.
Because in 1974, way before you, they had a meeting on how to control the population so that you can feed them.
What?
Yeah.
How to
Because
control the
you cannot have 8 billion people on the earth or 10 billion people on the earth and feed them. So population has to be restricted. How do you restrict population?
vasectomies?
Something has to be done because you can't share. I can't share my wealth with everybody. It's mine. And if everybody else wants to be as rich as I am, then I have to become poorer. Isn't it? So how do I control? By having fewer of the others.
Reducing the population in other parts of the
Or
world.
at least reducing the growth of population.
So, what was the outcome of that?
Oh, yes. I think you should read a bit more of these journals and magazines that are coming out from the United States that talk about this.
That talk about this.
This phenomenon or this discussion that population has to be controlled.
But this happened
And
in.
you talk about artificial food. Can you imagine? Food, the tree is artificial.
This
And you
happened
feed on it.
in 1974.
They started discussing it in 1974.
There would have been an outcome in these last 50 years.
Could have been, yes.
So, maybe all these wars.
Genetically modified food, what is it?
It
If
causes.
you can control oil, you can control the world. If you can control food, you can control the people.
So, you're saying in genetically modified foods, there could possibly be some elements that might cause things like cancer.
I wouldn't want to speculate, but I think that genetically modified food has been known to this, at least the Europeans used to say that it is harmful. How, in what way, I still don't know, but it does restrict genetically modified seeds, for instance, means that you cannot replant that seed. Goes away after one growth, one harvest. You have to buy a new seed. You have to buy new insecticides, everything else, and you have to have water. So the man who's supplying you genetically modified seeds is the controller,
Which is America.
which is America or American companies, Monsanto and others. So they are the ones who do all this.
Okay. So these conspiracy theories that we hear about the sugar lobby controlling marketing narratives and say the meat industry controlling narratives or things like this. All this could be very true.
सब पैसे का खेल है.
Okay, and all this actually does happen.
Hmm?
All right.
It could be happening. I have no idea whether they are actually modifying all this.
Okay.
But there are obviously vested interests in controlling a market.
Okay.
Whether it is meat or food or minerals.
I don't know whether I should ask you the next question that I actually want to ask you. It's about Dawood Ibrahim. Would you like to speak about this topic?
93 के बाद तो पता ही नहीं है. He went away and got settled in Pakistan. It's that all I know is that his daughter married Javed Miandad. And he's living there. He's making money. And they don't want to... Who's going to touch him?
Because he's protected by the ISI and the Pakistani
I suppose,
military.
yes. That's what we believe. That's what we believe, that he is protected.
Okay. Why is he protected?
He's done them a favor.
Finance them.
Finance them. He did Bombay, 1993.
Okay.
And he's probably helping them with money to create more trouble.
I don't like asking you this question, but in 1993, was there any intel that something like this would happen?
I don't think so, no.
No? Okay.
There was probably stray information, but not the magnitude or nothing. And when these major things happen, a whole lot of people are involved, not just intelligence, local security. What were they doing? Where did all this RDX come from?
You mean the police force of Mumbai?
Hmm?
The police force of Mumbai.
Yeah, somebody must be knowing about it. Somebody must be the local rep. Chupaya kahan tha?
And again, money probably put them on
Yeah.
the other side,
Yeah.
the dark side. Man, okay. The general narrative about PM Modi and this government is that it does have sort of a tiger's branding on the world stage. People don't mess with India anymore.
Hmm.
We are also in a phase where India feels safer than it's ever been.
Yeah.
Okay, and I want to clarify that I'm deeply centrist. I'm not on either side.
Yeah.
And I think as a media professional, it is ethically correct to be centrist. I'm not batting for Modi ji's government or anything like that. But I do wish to ask you, as the former R&AW chief, what has gone right in the last 10 years or so? Why are we seeing a safer India?
I think you're seeing a safer India for one or two or three reasons. One is that you see visibly that the government is trying to deliver on some of the promises.
Okay.
It has delivered promises for the common man. Okay. I mean, we are the biggest transactors of phone pay kind of money in the world. The French and the Germans don't have it. We have it. So that is access to money, access to the bank, access to subsidies. These common facilities are, you and I don't understand that they exist, that they matter. But the woman who has to go and pick up twigs and light a fire, and when she gets a gas ka chula, it's a lot of difference. It's a lot of time saved, a lot of effort saved, and healthier. So that makes a lot of difference. Toilets make a difference to your dignity. Okay? So when you help a sizable chunk of your population, you're delivering. And that is important.
Okay.
And then he has had a reach out to the rest of the world. Our relations with the West Asian nations have never been better. Why? Because he's reached out and told them what it's all about and what we can do together. So many of these foreign countries, their leaders come and say that we are the country to watch. So kahin to theek ho raha hai na kuch. Not everything is right. I'm also with you that not everything is right. It can't be. But it's definitely better. And things like Balakot, the attack, the counter attack that we did after Pulwama, was a message. It wasn't to be a battle strike that you destroyed their airport or whatever. It's a message that if you do this, we will do this to you and we'll do it again. And it did make a difference. It has made a difference. The tune has been different since then. Udi pehle, phir uske baad we did this. So there is a country who's willing to now stand up.
That's why people think twice or thrice before.
Yeah, ye hoga to phir, next time might be bigger.
Okay.
And like when Mumbai 2008 happened, it was terrible, but we did nothing. So that's the difference.
What do you
It
think?
gives you self-pride, it gives you confidence, and that's an important thing. And then that gives an impression outside also. अगर आप खुद ही नहीं कुछ करोगे, then why would somebody else come and look after you?
What do you think Modi ji would have done if he would have been the PM at the time of the 2008 attacks?
There would have been a reaction. There would have been reaction. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. It doesn't have to be day after. It has to be in your time. But the message would have gone. Ideally, if you have a 3-day attack going on, the world would have actually forgiven you if you had done it the second day. Get me? They would have said, well, you asked for it.
Okay. I had the honor of speaking with IPS Shivanandan on the show. He spoke about how post the 2008 attacks, they actually fixed the security much better of Mumbai, which is why Mumbai feels safer. Before I asked you this previous question about why we have this Tigers branding on a world stage, I would assume that your answer would be that the Modi government has fueled the intelligence agencies as well as the Indian military to be more equipped security wise, research wise, technology wise. That's how we're safer. But you're saying it's probably a combination of that as well as the
You
over.
can't have one without the other.
All right. So it's both.
It
Okay.
has to be both, because you can't just beef up your security apparatus and not bother about the people that you're supposed to protect.
Okay. You said you're a cricket fan, right?
Yeah,
I
a
am
bit.
one as well. Today, cricket is like very deeply data oriented. I know this because I have a few friends from good cricketing circles. So I've been told that before every match, there are captains, Rohit Sharma being one, where they will plan almost every over of the match, depending on who the batter is, especially if they want to take someone's wicket. And all this is data backed. Okay. So that's why you have data analysts in IPL teams. You have probably a bowling coach.
Yeah, they all are.
Right?
It's all technology.
Now, if this would have been a metaphor for your world, I believe that intelligence agencies are the data analysts and the coaches, and then the military and the government are your batsmen and your bowlers.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Something like that, yeah. It would mean also that you would then be able to analyze your mistakes, your failures better with the data that you collected, and improve on the system as you go on.
Right.
Otherwise, it used to be by word of mouth and it's over.
Right. What's it like working with the military as sort of a partner agency, the Indian military? I've gotten to, again, had the honor to get to know them through the show. And all of them are tigers. What's it like working with them? When you're talking to the military generals, would you like to share anything about your experience of working with them? Would you like to speak on behalf of the Indian military?
Yeah, the point is that I've always had very good relations with the armed forces, wherever I was posted. And there was never any personal problem. There are professional requirements at times, which is different. I think we get along. We still do get along professionally. Get along very well, and there is an increasing realization that you cannot do without one or the other.
Right.
You have to. It's a joint effort.
But there have been differences of opinion.
Yeah, there have always been differences.
I can't imagine a situation where there would be a difference of opinion, because you're basically the coach telling the bowler to bowl at a certain line.
No, and you do had difference of assessments. You can assess the situation differently, and they can assess the same information differently.
All right.
And they are the users. We are not. We are the suppliers of information.
Okay.
So we cannot dictate to them, because you got to use it only the way I tell you to use it.
Okay.
So they will use it the way they think it is useful or not useful.
Do you want to talk about the Kargil war? Maybe I just want to ask you the human aspect of it. Being what you were in R&AW, what were you going through when the war was going on a mental level or on an emotional level?
No, it was fearful. It was fearful that they had reached so high, and then we were caught unawares, really, and whether we're going to get it back, particularly when the Pakistanis, we could hear saying, by July it'll be over, it'll be ours. And but then there was this underlying belief कि सब ठीक हो जाएगा. It'll cost us more. It'll cost us more, but we will get there in the end, which we did.
I think we've almost reached the end of this episode, sir. Is there anything you'd like to cover that we've not covered?
I just thought, we're talking about, I think we're talking about the family and how it sort of grew. I think one important factor that I should have mentioned this, that in your life, one of the best things you have is your friends. And if you're lucky, you'll have good friends who will stand by you throughout. And I was very lucky. Just wanted to say that as part of the thing, Nothing like a good friend.
Yeah. Everyone needs a bro at some point.
Yeah.
Especially if you're constantly made to take yourself too seriously, which people in your position are. So you need someone to just make fun of you or take
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Yeah, it pull you down a peg or two.
Yeah. Vikram, Sood, sir. That's it.
That's it. Thank
what
you.
we have planned for today. Before we let you leave, there's a gift on behalf of Team TRS and Team R&AW. I've injured my shoulder, so I won't be able to give it to you
Kya kar
myself.
liya?
I've got some sort of tendonitis situation in my shoulder. It's probably because of weight training. So my producer Shrutesh will hand it to you, sir. It's on behalf of Team R&AW and Team TRS. It's got a bunch of goodies. It's a little heavy.
Ooh.
If you want, you can just keep it here.
Whoosh.
All right. I just want you to know that it's got a lot of love packed in as well.
Good.
No.
Whatever you give, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's got. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Topple over.
No, don't worry
It's
about it.
heavy,
Yeah. So it's got a bunch of goodies. What I will say is that it's also got a lot of love packed in. It's not every day that we get to speak to someone of your caliber, someone who's done what
I'm sure you do.
No. You're doing something different. Like military podcasts, R&AW podcasts are kind of the honor of our world, because we do get to talk to cricketers and actors, and they're fantastic. Business people have taught us a lot. You guys are living on a slightly different realm, according to me, based on all the conversations I've had. And, especially with R&AW officers, I think more often than not, y'all don't get saluted enough, which is why I'll salute you. So thank you for everything you've done for the country, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Lots of respect. And seriously, there's a whole aspect of your life which maybe even your wife doesn't know and only you know. So more than anything, I salute you from the bottom of my heart for all that stuff that you're keeping secret.
Thank you.
Thank
you, Ranveer.
Yeah.
It's been great being here. And I watched your shows earlier, and I found that here's a bright young man who's doing good for us. So it's been wonderful being here to talk to you. All I can offer you is a visit to Bangalore, and you can stay there and
100%.
be our guest.
Just this opportunity to speak to someone like yourself for this long, this is the biggest gift you can ever give me. So thank you, sir. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for the views that this conversation will get us. I am a capitalist at the end of the day, but genuinely meant a lot, sir. And I'm hoping to speak to you again.
Thank you. It'll be my pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot.
That was the episode for today. As you can tell, it wasn't the simplest episode for me, because that's the training of a top quality R&AW officer. Tell me what else I could have asked him. I honestly want to know your perspective. I've built this podcast along with you guys, and I'd like to know what else we can do in episodes like this, which are sort of so difficult for me to traverse through as a podcaster. How do you rate my performance in this one? Please tell me in the comment section down below. Please keep listening into TRS. Follow us on Spotify. Every episode is available on Spotify 48 hours before it's available anywhere else in the world. This look has been styled by R&AW. Make sure you download the R&AW app right now to look as stylish as Fashion Bhaiya. We'll be back very soon. We'll be achieving it in style once again very soon. R&AW presents The Ranveer Show is going to be back. Keep supporting, keep loving, keep learning, and keep staying curious.